morning. Good morning.
All right, coach. Wrapping up the regular season. Been a long season, a fun season. We got one last game up in Vermont. Just want to get your thoughts heading into that game.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that this is the final game of the season, but we're certainly excited to finish up, and we know we have a strong opponent in Vermont ahead of us. We had a great series with them here back. God, when was that? November, maybe early November, and two overtime games. I think the thing about their team is I just think they're big, they're heavy, they skate really well. They've got a lot of seniors that have played a lot of hockey with Walters and Zappernick and Mata, uh, just seasoned Hockey East players that it's going to be a really, I think, spirited, physical, and tough game Thursday night.
All right, who wants to start us off? Go ahead, Dan.
Does it actually feel like the season's been that long, or does it feel like it's gone by pretty quick? Because you mentioned the Vermont series being in November, and if you told me that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think I also would have believed that.
Well, I don't know about that. For me, it's maybe been a little longer, Dan. Uh, it just, you start whatever it is, the Tuesday or Wednesday after Labor Day. Uh, and here we are, the first week of March. It's just, that's 6 months. And yeah, it does go quickly, but it's also, it's also a grind, week in and week out, especially playing in this league.
How much fun have you had with this team, given, the history that they've been making, the success that you've had, and just all of that throughout the year?
It's been a real fun group to coach, no question about it. And I don't know if I've said it 1,000 times, and maybe I'll say it 1,000 more. I just think that because of John Spetz and Hudson Shandor really leading the way, that's what's made it even more fun.
It's been a few games since he played, but is Mike Murtagh healthy or
He is. He's healthy, and he's playing well, and I feel very confident that if he's in the lineup, he can help us. Just right now, the group we've been going with has been playing pretty well, and we've been sticking with it.
what have you liked from Houston?
Brings a lot of energy on the bench. He's very well respected in the locker room. I think he holds guys accountable on the bench, and for a guy that doesn't play a lot, he has everybody's respect and attention. So uh, he plays his role really, really well. And if he plays on, there's a few times during the game where I'll put him out there in certain situations, and he's really come a long way since his freshman year. Uh, I think early on his biggest issue was never his skating or his strength or his skill level. It was more positioning and understanding how we want to play, and that's not a factor for him anymore. He knows exactly. He's very rarely out of position. Knows how we want to play, and we don't lose a lot when he goes into the game.
Joe, we'll jump over to you.
Thanks. Morning, Calf.
Good morning, Joe.
Um, Viking obviously got his first goal, which was nice to see on Saturday. How has he improved during the season from the time he got here to now?
Uh, well, he always had a good skill set, I thought, right from the beginning. I think Joe right now, he just feels very comfortable playing in our system and the way we want to play. Uh, we're a very aggressive team. We like to stay in people's faces. We've got a little bit of a unique defensive zone. And for a defenseman, it takes a little bit to learn that. But once he's grasped those concepts, I think he just keeps getting better and better. He's long, he defends well. And as I said, offensively, he's got a better skill set than some people would anticipate.
I know you mix the defensive combos up during games, but it seems like the two kids have played an awful lot lately, Kai and Trey. How do they complement each other's skill set?
Well, they're both very good with the puck, so when they go back to break pucks out, it's pretty easy for them. They can go back and see a play before it happens. So, and if they don't, they pass it to their partner and the next one can do it. So, they offensively, they're very gifted and they have a lot of poise, both of them. They just don't throw pucks away. So I think that's a great attribute to have as a defenseman.
And as strong as the league has been, does getting 6 or 7 teams into the tournament seem realistic?
Well, we have 5 in now, so yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll ask. Hand up. Mike, have you had a chance to, even for a minute, enjoy the fact that you're going into the last game of the season in the playoffs, knowing that you have an NCAA berth locked up?
I spoke about it yesterday with the team because it's something that we do talk about on a regular basis. And I said it's a great accomplishment, but I said as far as this team's concerned, we're not talking about it anymore because we've accomplished it. And now that we've accomplished it, that's on the back burner. We're going to totally focus on Hockey East, and that's what has our 100% undivided attention right now is Vermont on Thursday night and then the Hockey East playoffs.
Right.
And the best way we can't win the regular season title. We can certainly compete for the Lamoriello Trophy. And the best way to do that, I believe, is to try to secure a bye and not have to play in the play-in game on Wednesday. So, and the only way we do that is by being successful on Thursday night. So Vermont right now has our undivided attention.
Right, as it should. Saturday was as good a forechecking game as a most complete game as I think we've had this season. And being outside the locker room, I mean, you couldn't hear everything by verse, but there seems to be some, what's the word I'm looking for? Defiance, I guess, in your voice. Maybe from some of the errors in the third period on Friday night. But it just seemed like whatever it was, message received, and the guys really went after it on Saturday night.
Yeah, and again, it's we've tried to be very consistent this year with our message, and it's been the same message all year, Bob. I've just tried to reinforce it, and right now, at times, I think what you witnessed Saturday night was a team that understands the message and wants to keep improving and getting better. They understand exactly how we want to play. They understand exactly what makes us a successful team. And if we don't go off script, we can be very good. Mm-hmm. If we decide to go off script and try to pretend we're something we're not, that's where you can get in trouble. So, and again, I think our leadership understands the message and they relay it to the team as well. But right now, as long as we stay true to our identity, we can be a pretty good team.
Right. Last one for me. I mean, your kid line has been sensational all season.
Yeah.
Just discuss their development, the two Ethans and Caden, and what they brought.
Yeah, it's been fun watching. We had them together for a little while, then we broke them up. And the one thing about when you play a freshman line, you have to understand there'll be some growing pains. But that being said, it's easier sometimes for 3 freshmen to play together than 1 freshman with 2 upperclassmen or 2 freshmen with 1 upperclassman, because a lot of times they'll just defer to the upperclassmen. And when all 3 of them are together, I think they can play free and loose like they want to play, and that you get the best out of their skill sets when that's the case, when they're not deferring to a teammate. So I've really enjoyed watching them, but the biggest improvement they've made is I thought early on when they were together, they would trade chances. They would always create chances, but they were giving up a lot of chances. And now that's not so much the case. They're very reliable and cognizant of how they have to play in the defensive zone. And in turn, they're creating a lot more chances now than they're giving up.
Didn't Caden sell out on a play Saturday? He dove in the defensive
Yes,
end, breaking
yeah, great play there.
Yeah,
really nice play. Yeah.
Dan, go ahead.
Just speaking of that line, I know you've been having Ethan play center. Just how do you think he's progressed there throughout the season?
I think he's progressed really well. I think early on faceoffs were a problem for him, but now, he's worked on it quite a bit. And I think that's an area that he's certainly improved. But, if he can continue to improve there, it's nice to have a 6'4" center up the middle. I'll tell you that.
Sorry, the printer next to me just kicked on if you hear some background noise. But if you win on Thursday or just get one more win, you hit the 20-win mark.
Yeah.
Which would be the third time in the last 4 seasons. And those previous 2 years, you talked about that as being a pretty significant milestone for you. Just why is that a nice mark, and how meaningful would it be this year?
I think that is the benchmark for college hockey. If you have a 20-win season, that's a really good season. If you look up and down, I don't know how many teams have 20 wins yet, but I would venture to guess of the 63, it's probably 15 or under, I would say. And in the 65 years of UConn hockey before, well, I should say in the first 60 years of UConn hockey, it was only done twice. Once when they were a Division III program, and the first year they were in the MAC. So it's quite an accomplishment for Hudson and John that if we're able to get 20 wins again, 3 times in 4 years is pretty impressive when it had only been done twice before that.
And then if I'm not poking into any state secrets, but you said that what you do in the defensive zone when you were talking about Viking can be a little different. Just what makes it a little tricky for defensemen to pick up?
It's just our scheme. It's nothing really. It's nothing revolutionary. There's a lot of teams that play a very similar scheme, but when you're coming over and you haven't played it before, there are little nuances that you have to learn, and that just takes time. That's anywhere, you see a lot of college football players that are all Americans, and you go play for Bill Belichick, and the schemes are a lot different. And I'm not saying that we're Bill Belichick. It doesn't matter where you go. You go play for Andy Reid. You go play for any coach. I'm sure, if you're a high school basketball player and you come in and you're playing for Danny Hurley, his schemes are a lot different than probably what you're used to. So I just think that's natural for anybody coming into a program, new to a program.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, just one more thing for me. Day of the game, because you go up, you're going up to Vermont tomorrow night, right?
Correct.
You have a day of the game skate?
We usually, this time of year, there's ice, but we usually just make that optional. There are some kids that if you don't take the ice, then you'll do a stretch with Mo. But there are some kids that like to go out for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't like to make it mandatory because there are some that don't like it at all. So I just like it to be a player preference. And whatever gets them in the best frame of mind to play the hockey game that night, that works for me.
You have a favorite spot in Burlington?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of spots in Burlington, but I don't know where we're going. I got to check the itinerary. I don't even know where we're going for dinner tomorrow night yet, but it'll be a quiet night for me, Dan. I won't be out on the town tomorrow night.